All right. Here we go. Is that on? Yep. This is on. Okay.
Clap.
Oh.
Am I clapping?
Everyone clap. He breaks the ad news while you're in bed hitting snooze. Fuck. Oh, my bad. All right, take two.
Take two.
Action.
That was good. We got that one.
He breaks the ad news while you're in bed hitting snooze. Senior reporter for Ad Age. He's an article writing savage. He knows advertising like Purell knows sanitizing. A literary genius that probably knows the meaning of Arabanapia. Welcome back to the show, Brian Bonilla.
Wow. Okay.
Nicely done, Jack.
That was good.
Jack is on the producer mic. He's in the corner there. Round of applause for him.
That was good.
He's pretty good. He's pretty good. We worked on that all day. Brian Bonilla, welcome back to your show on the Breaking Entering Media Network here. This is Breaking with Brian.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Also, first time in the new office.
Yeah.
Congrats, guys.
We're stepping it up. A lot better than the Anselmo setup. That was crazy. I still think back that we still
Do you think he blocked you?
Yeah. I try texting him all the time. He doesn't respond. It goes green.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're stepping it up here. Every time you come back, the goal is to have something a little bit nicer. We might get a photo up, like an actual decoration on this side. It's pretty blank, but thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
We're here to talk about A-List.
Yeah, man.
And that just came out. What day is it today? Tuesday? That came out yesterday?
Wow, it feels like a lifetime ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, it came out yesterday, which is crazy.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So this is a big deal. Like in the industry, agency professionals, comms professionals, everybody kind of has this dream of being on the A-List. When I worked in agency life, I was like my whole goal, my whole performance review was based off, do we have a viable submission for A-List?
Right.
Like we don't have to win it, but we need to put ourselves in a position where we could be considered for it. So this is like people's like entire jobs to get on A-List. Isn't that crazy?
There are jobs where people only like write submissions for awards and things like that. And it's insane. So we don't take that lightly. We don't.
So you guys are probably working on this for a long time, seeing all these submissions come in. So run a show here. We can talk shop about it, but really I want to know a little bit about the overview on the back end. Whatever you can reveal, because I know it's top secret stuff, but maybe just some high level, like a little bit of advice, whatever you might have noticed this year and the usual flow of things. And then I want to get into like the top 5.
Okay.
We can cover around there, top 5 on the list. And then we can talk about the standouts. What do you call the categories?
There's standouts, and then there's different categories, like B2B Agency of the Year, Transformation Agency of the Year, Creative Agency of the Year, a lot of different categories as well. Yeah.
Perfect. So we'll focus in on some of those standouts and then some of those categories, and then we'll talk about what's next in your world. How's that sound?
I think that sounds good. Let's do it.
Cool. Alrighty. Then A-List was released on Monday. Yeah. When does like the planning for all this thing start? From like do you know roughly like how many months before like the application opened?
Yeah, we know like I had it like I think we announced the application a few months before the deadlines there, and so agencies have time to prepare, and each year it's always there's always a few agencies that are very close to the deadline, like the day before or the day of. But we know like a few months ahead before, when it's going to happen.
Yep. And
we just plan after that. It takes like a few months after that to judge. And, especially, during Super Bowl, during all that stuff going on, we're judging like every week for like I want to say like a couple months if I do the math right, probably maybe more than that.
Yeah.
And it's not a small task. We use a lot of pretty much all the major editors on staff are involved. The entire agency team. So that's me, you, and Lindsay, and some of the other reporters as well are included. Especially for certain categories that they specialize in.
Sure.
And yeah, it's a whole team effort. It's a whole team effort So.
Nice. And then as an agency reporter, are you kind of like running the show on the back end? Like, is it like you and like Tim, or like how does it kind of work? Is it split up into teams, or like?
Yeah. Well, like Judy, like our agency editor, my boss. This is like her show. Like
Okay.
she like you know, um, like everyone has equal say, but like obviously she is in charge of like how is like everything gonna look. Like she knows the history of like all the agencies in the past and previous lists, and like she kind of sets the standard, and so like
She's the vibe curator.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So like she's the standard, and like I'm just learning from that.
Right.
So yeah.
Right. So you're digging into those submissions. Everybody's kind of digging into these submissions.
Yeah.
I'm assuming hundreds.
I can't give an exact
Thousands?
number. Yeah, it's
dozens.
More than hundreds. More
Okay.
than a more
There's
than,
a lot.
Yeah. More than hundreds. I can't give an exact number.
Sure.
But
There's a lot of freaking submissions, and these things are pretty long, I'm assuming.
yeah, I think it could, if you're really reading one, it could take like 20-30 minutes to read one. And
I don't
like,
know how to read too well, personally.
well, I'm probably dyslexic. I don't know. So I don't know. Like, I misspell a lot.
You're like all these HBB, ASU.
I misspell a lot of words, and Judy knows that. So, no, I think it could take like if when you're spending like really you're really like paying attention and spending your time, like it should take like 20-30 minutes per submission.
Wow. And there's videos and stuff like sizzle reels.
Yeah,
like their ads and stuff. Do they have to like compile like?
Yeah, I tell people like you don't have to have a sizzle reel. Like I think most agencies opt for that because it's like
that's what they do.
That's what they do.
They make sizzle reels.
Can use it for other like award shows. I get it, right? Like you can repurpose stuff, right? And that works. I get it. But like I tell people because like you look at agencies like Collins, the design agency, or like Known, who was named Data Insights Agency and was also I think number 6 on our top 10. Their work doesn't always favor like video work, right? Like it Known is very much like a data strategy.
So they might make like a dashboard for you.
Right, they might do a dashboard or something like that, or they might like it's more about how you explain your work and the creative effectiveness of the work, as well as like the wow factor and like the craft of it, So those are like in terms of the work, like that's what's most important.
So is there like an ambiguous link, like send a link to like whatever showcases your
yeah,
whatever
I could tell you've like spent a lot of time thinking about these, like when you were doing it probably at Havas, like you were just like, do I do an outside link or do I do a Dropbox or do I do
a Google Drive?
Yeah, look, some people do like their Dropbox stuff. Some people create like a whole website for their stuff, and they put all the videos in one website. I think the standard is like sizzle reel and an explanation. Yeah. And that's kind of the standard, but I will say like include the work itself in there. Like a lot of agencies make the mistake of like only putting a sizzle reel, which is like ridiculous because you're like, you know what I'm saying? Like you should put like the 30-second spot or whatever it is on its own, as well as the sizzle reel, instead of just a sizzle reel, because the sizzle reel is very much like you're trying to like make your stuff look a little better than it is a lot of times. So you're like, you should have both,
Got it. Well, anything else you can give advice-wise to like future submissions or like big red flags, anything like that? Like, I don't know. Like,
no, I think
don't put a password and not share the password on a site that you made.
Well, like some people like put a password, like I can't get into it, and I have to ask them, like, hey, like, can I get into your?
They forget to respond, and then it's not good.
That doesn't happen as often, but it does happen. I would say like I think just understanding like what we look for in general. Like I tell agencies this all the time, like. It is about like the entire business package, and especially when it comes to like the top 10 and the standouts, like that's like we're looking at your agency as a whole, not just in one factor or more. Now you might have had a stronger creative year than you did new business wise, right? And that's maybe the case, right? But overall, we're looking at revenue growth, new business, how creative is your work? How like diverse is your like work? You know, like so like are you just doing one type of work or are you doing other things? Which you know it's not a deal breaker, right? But if you say you're an agency that can do a lot of different types of work and you're not, like that's you know
Yeah.
you're not showing your versatility. But not and then with the work, like how effective is the work? You got to show results and and like business impact. And I think that's where a lot of agencies fall short in explaining.
I
And
couldn't do an FE submission for the life of me. Like that's when I left. I was like, I
You're
can't,
like,
I can't do an
nah.
FE submission. Like,
Yeah.
because it's so hard to find the. You gotta talk to the client. You gotta get like,
Well,
you
yeah.
get charts and graphs going, and I didn't do that in high school or college. So
Yeah.
once the charts and graphs start showing up, I'm out.
Yeah, the charts and graphs awards. No, I mean, look, but it's important, right? Like it's
and
then,
show that it worked. It was effective.
and I think it makes when you know the fact if you have those numbers, like you're saying, like the client is aware of this, like they're aware of these numbers, they approve these numbers,
Yeah.
and that's like another layer of like you know trust that like your client actually believes in this versus like you're an agency that's kind of just promoting your own stuff. And you know diversity of the like agency itself, you know there were some agencies that were like 40% diverse and things like that on the list. That's very important as well.
I hope everybody's listening. Tune in, rewind this.
Yeah,
read it,
and
watch it
you
a
know
couple
like
times.
understand what's happening in the industry. Like you got to be able to tell your story. Wow, like what is your story compared to like other agencies? Like what makes you different? And you know also pay attention to the industry. Like I think innovation is such a big thing right now. Like agencies that can show their innovation in a real way, not just like, hey, we built this tool and like it's a
proprietary AI
Yeah, right.
technology.
Yeah, we're at a point everyone's kind of using the same tech. So like beyond that, right? So like you know, how do you stand out and how do you like tell your story well? You know.
Got it. So the holistic picture of your agency as a business. So new business wins, those are important. Creativity, the range of creative work, how creative it was. What else was the effectiveness of that creative work, internal culture and like hirings and lack of layoffs potentially. What else did I miss?
No, I think that's it. And I think like
Packaging the story,
packaging the story.
showcasing how you're different, all in one.
Right.
So
Right. Yeah. And you don't have to be like covered by us like all the time to like be part of this. I think that's another thing people think. Like, you know, there's like Alto, for example. I haven't heard from them. I think most of the year. Like, you know, so
I haven't heard of them.
So
but they're on the list. They're number 7. So the results speak for themselves.
Yeah. So, but they've been on the radar. You know, they've won Standout a few times, and so I just think keep applying too. You know. Like,
more eyes. It can't hurt. And it's a good exercise for everybody. Amazing. So anything else with the process? It takes a long time. You're combing through all. It's very stressful. So go easy on Brian and the team at Ad Age. Don't give them a hard time.
It's okay.
There's like 15,000 agencies, marketing and like ad agencies.
There are,
so the fact that you can narrow it down to 10 and some standout, 19 standouts, I believe, ish, 20 standouts.
Yeah.
And then you got the categories. So what would you say, like 30, 40 agencies make this list max out of 15,000? Or
maybe like 40. Yeah, not counting production companies, like maybe 40-ish. Sure. Yeah.
So that's hard to do. So applause to you all. It's really fun.
Appreciate it.
And like for students out there, aspiring advertisers, this is also so important to like track and see who's winning out there, and just to get those names. Like I remember, I think did Wyden win it? Like they won it back to back. Like when I was breaking out of college, and like I always dreamed of working at Wyden. So you're actually shifting the perception of like the potential employees.
Yeah, we know that,
great stuff.
And we know that like people that end up on the list get new business calls right away, that's very important, and it's increasingly becoming more important. So I do understand that factor.
They put it on their websites, their email signatures, and so it helps the business. It helps them discover new talent. It's a really great thing, and that's why people want to be on it. Like get that little nudge.
For sure.
Those accolades too, but also for the internal.
Yeah.
You know, it's a good North Star. I built like a whole year plan on like how we're gonna win it.
No, I mean when I was like not in advertising at all, I remember seeing like Droga 5 on that list. And
Agency of the decade, the last decade.
yeah,
Jack went on the record. Jack, did you want to say your take on the producer, Mike? This is Jack's take. This is not Brian's take.
What?
Agency of the decade.
Agency of the decade
Did
is.
you wake up?
Yeah, I'm here. Shut up. Agency of the decade is like the Madden curse. That was my take.
So. Like John Madden, you mean?
Yeah, like the
cover,
Madden. If
yeah,
you're on the cover of
cover.
Madden, then your career you're
screwed.
You're screwed.
Well, listen, if you can have a good 10 years, I think most agencies would like go for that. You know, like where there's the Madden curse, you have one good year and then you drop off. You know, I think it's like I don't know. Like I think most agencies can't put together a decade run, right?
It's so hard.
It's like, I mean, Crispin did it, Droga did it. You know, it's like.
Wait, was Crispin 2000s?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, it's gotta be. And then 2010s was Droga. Who's gonna be 2020s, Jack?
I don't know. It's too soon.
John Mischief.
A hot take. I know. I was getting there.
Okay, I didn't know if you're awake. It's getting kind of late over here.
I was another hot take from the hot corner. There's some buzz going around. Mischief is already locked in. People are saying we're only 5 years through the decade. Mischief already. Yeah. Agency of the decade.
I think it's too soon to tell.
Dang.
I think.
Yeah.
Well, look, you don't know what can happen in 5 years.
Sure.
I think obviously they've had a good run, but so has High Dive, right?
Mm-hmm.
So have Wyden, right? Yeah. Like Wyden's had a good run.
Tombras, Tombras can go back to back to back to back to back.
Yeah, so I think it's too soon to tell. I know why people would say that, and I understand, but
it's kind of like what are the Chiefs right now? How in this decade? How many Super Bowl wins do the Chiefs have?
I think they have 3, right?
3.
I think they have 3.
So are they going to be team of the decade?
Well, maybe. I mean, I think they will be.
Yeah.
They have had 3 in the 2020s. Kansas City Chiefs have won 3 championships in the 2020s.
And did Mischief go back to back these past 2 years, number 1 spot?
This might be their 4th year, I'm thinking. 4th year in a row. Like
on the list.
Like on the list.
Okay.
Like,
yeah. I'm sure if we can pull up a Ollie TikTok of some sort, we'll figure out what that is. Shout out to Ollie.
Yeah. But yeah, man, I think I like this year's list.
You like the list. Brian likes the list.
Well, I have to like all the lists.
You gotta like
it.
We gotta. Well, let's talk about this. So we're gonna skip through number 5 here.
Okay.
And number 5, and I'll run through the top 5 here, and then you can hover where you feel you want to weigh in here. But number 5, we got Uncommon Creative Studio.
Okay.
Number 4, we got High Dive. Number 3, Anomaly. Number 2, Mischief, and number 1, Tombras. Tombras. So that's.
I think a lot of people are learning how to pronounce it
Tombras.
after yesterday.
Reactions from the public perception that you saw, like phone calls, anything like that. Like,
yeah, I think. Look,
what are you guys picking up on your social media tracking systems?
I think I kind of predicted how people would react a little bit. I think, any agency that wins the top spot is gonna
it's gonna be eyeballs,
garner the most reactions, and I think there's always a lot of envy, right? Like you want to be on the top spot.
Some haters.
I think, this was huge for Tombras, right? Because, they started in Knoxville. They've been around for a long time. I think 78 years.
78?
Yeah, and it's a family-owned agency, which I don't even know how many of those actually exist. And Knoxville, Tennessee, not considered an agency hub.
Nope.
And they moved to New York a couple years ago, so they've been building their office here. And I still think look, they're around 500 employees. They acquired an agency in Latin America, but still I think there was a lot of unawareness there, despite the growth that the agency has had. And so I do think this was kind of for a lot of people an introduction to Tombras. I think I've heard from people who understood, they were oh yeah, for sure, and then there was a lot of surprise too, and I think if you understand again our criteria, and also Thomas's story, when they hired Jeff Benjamin a few years ago as their CCO, they went from an agency that was putting out okay work, to actually really good creative work that was also effective for clients. And my one of my favorite campaigns was the Bark Air work for Bark, where they helped launch an airline for pets, which such a ridiculous idea, but they it's a real business that is existing in the world, and so and then the Josh Seller wines, I don't know if you've seen those TikToks and
Josh,
the Josh wine, they saw a trend online, and they blew up that whole brand, and they in a category that's increasingly decreasing, which is wine. Josh became a Gen Z brand overnight, and I just think you look at the breadth of work, you look at the pods moving trucks, where they
smart AI trucks
created AI billboards on the side of these pods moving trucks. That's really interesting. That's really different. And they also started winning bigger brands, right? And they were in different pitches that they weren't normally in. And I just think this was kind of their year to stand out, and they kind of did it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So family owned, 78 years old. Some key hires. Jeff Benjamin, is a star in the fact that he was at Crispin. He's a part of that brain trust there. So he's probably crazy in the best way possible creatively.
Yeah.
Added on Paul Ciozza a little bit later.
And then Maggie Jennings, she's a chief growth officer coming from Wyden.
Okay.
She was at Wyden for 17 years. These are people that they have the pedigree, and they're joining Tombras for a reason. And
totally.
I'm expecting big things, so we'll see,
hey,
if they can sustain it.
They got to live up to it now. They're independent.
Yeah, they're independent, and Dooley Tombras, who's third generation owner within his family.
Yeah.
He's told me multiple times he's not looking to sell. It's a family owned business. He gets acquisition inquiries all the time from
breaking
the
entering media is called them.
So
answer our calls.
Yeah. So I think interesting agency. I think that's kind of was the most surprising pick for a lot of people.
For sure. Okay, and then we got Mischief at number 2.
Who's that? Who's that?
You ever heard of them? Anomaly at number 3. I would have thought my take. Anomaly would have been number 1.
Yeah, I hear you.
Just with their massive wins with Visa, Starbucks, the creative leadership there. What's his name? Who's running the shop over there?
Carl Johnson.
Carl Johnson.
They have a few partners up top. And
yeah, it's just seemed like a lot of the agency headlines that we follow that you write. And you writes they just won so much. So
yeah.
Number 3 is still a great spot to be in.
I think they were obviously a contender, right?
Yeah.
And I think they really had. I think at the end of the year is when they picked up Starbucks and Visa, and that was a big finisher for them. And I think the work itself, they're being brought on by brands that need kind of a revitalization. And so Bud Light,
a transformation, a little bit.
Bud Light, Buffalo Wild Wings, they've always had this story of building their own businesses on the side. They helped launch EOS a long time ago, and they're building this company called OB, which is a tech platform for women to understand their health throughout their life journey. So that's kind of been their DNA, but then picking up Starbucks in such a fashion where Starbucks picked an agency and then chose Anomaly was definitely huge, and
they went to WVP Bespoke,
right?
Team Starbucks, and then they went over to Anomaly.
CMO change, right? And a lot of anomaly. Like they lost Duncan in 2023, and this is kind of like their chance to prove that they can, work with like a large, coffee slash breakfast business. And honestly, the work was great. Like I thought with Starbucks, like so far.
Yeah, it's a good turning point.
It
seems
felt,
like there's
felt
changes
fresh.
happening.
It felt like a little more like personable, know. And with a business that's so massive, it's like hard to like lose that personable touch. So I think great new business here. Great new business here.
Totally. And then at 4 we got High Dive, and number 5 we got Uncommon Creative Studio. I mean, these two are close to my heart.
Yeah.
High Dive being from Chicago.
Yeah, what did you think? Like,
I mean, I love these two shops. I like all these shops. I love the shops. But Jack, I just want to make sure you know that. I mean, High Dive Chicago, like that's hometown for us, and we're close with them. I mean, the Super Bowl, I still think, they should own being the Super Bowl only agency, but I know they're probably not wanting to talk like that, but I would go all in. You do Super Bowl better than anybody else, High Dive. Own it. Get rid of any other narrative. Just be the Super Bowl. No. But, I mean, you can't ignore that. Like, being on the ad meter all the freaking time.
They just have, like, a secret. I don't know what their secret is to, like... Well, I think what it is, like, they make, like, ads that appeal to a lot of people, which, I know everyone's kind of trying to do unless you're trying to reach a niche, but they just find that weird middle ground to, like...
They got the formula. Like, they know what they're doing.
And it's not always funny, right? Like, look at the Lay's...
Right. They came through. Yeah, with the emotional appeal this year.
Well, I think High Dive, like, to your point, like, yeah, they're known for their big Super Bowl work.
But...
and they're like, they had like 7 to 8 brands reach out this year, past year, for Super Bowls. So like, the demand is there, right? And they're aware of it. Yep. I think like they're trying to show that they go beyond that, and they have started to show that, especially like with KFC and the chicken tender wars work, and I think
Danny DeVito and Jersey Mike's. They were doing that.
Yeah. But then at the same time, like the State Farm Arnold work was like, again, massive last year. Yep. A massive ad. And so I just think like they're finding that like balance between both types of work. And they're just, when I hear their name a lot in pitches, and they're like, marketers are wanting to work with them more and more. So they make sense. I think this is their second year in a row. I think they were number 2 last year. So
okay. So drop down.
Well, I tell people it's not just like
drop down.
There you go.
All that nice shit I said. He's just like worse.
Drop down's a drop down. Young people would.
Every year's different. You can't compare years. It's like that's what I tell people. You can't compare years.
This is a good little clickbait clip here. Is High Dive going downhill?
Oh, man. That's good. No, love you guys. Uncommon Creative Studio. Nils Leonard is judging our Crowbar Awards.
Nice.
So that's my dog.
Yeah.
Won't tolerate any Jack slander on Nils. And our guy Sam Shepard with the New York location.
Yeah, I think Uncommon's one of those agencies that people weren't surprised to see it, but I think that first year in New York, like the way they were able to like kind of just explode off, most agencies when they launch right in a new country, whatever, it takes a few years to like figure it out. And
the Guinness win, right?
Guinness win, Harry's, I think Vimeo.
Yeah.
They had like 15 new wins or something, like, which is like insane. And they were one of those agencies that like you knew they always had the creative capability, right?
Oh, yeah.
So that was never a concern. It was more like, can you prove that what you've done globally will translate here? And
it was a big test,
and they've proven it like they proved it like incredibly. So I just think like that one was where like everyone like understood it when I speak to people.
Yeah.
But I think it's because the Uncommon brand has become so big.
Yeah.
But for me, it was that like you had to like see if they could prove it, and they did, and to us they did. So
I got a question for Jack. Of these agencies on the list that we talked about, where would you want to work if you were working at an ad agency? Because you know these people now.
Yeah.
You know everyone.
You know these squads.
Right.
Well,
me
as a
personally-
creative, or like, what would your position be? What would your
Well, my
Creative.
position,
Yeah, you'd
creative.
be art director.
I mean, this is gonna be like a shitty answer, but Starbucks anomaly.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
You want free coffee for life.
But the second that Starbucks does another creative review and they go to a different agency, I'm hopping
You're
shit.
following the
I'm
client.
essentially, this
they'll
my
poach
answer.
you.
My answer is Starbucks.
His
I'll
answer
work
is
for
actually
that.
Yeah,
Starbucks.
in-house
In-house, literally, like in cafe, like I'd be a barista.
Just he wants to be a barista. You could do that like tomorrow if you wanted.
I don't know.
Your dreams attainable.
Dude, I don't know if I
He
could.
can do it. I don't know.
I don't know
We
if
don't
I-
have a coffee maker at home.
That level, nah.
I'm not in front. That's a terrifying job. Like
Yeah.
being a barista.
I would do like the night shift.
Yeah.
I'd start at like
With the
4.
night
Oh,
shift,
the thing about
I
the
mean-
night shift is that it doesn't exist. In,
Yeah, I was gonna say.
4 to 6.
Like, wait, night shift. Wait.
I do the night shift.
This midnight coffee.
Love it. Anything else with the top 5, Brian, Bonilla, that we want to hover over here? What people don't know, what they should know?
I think you said in terms of the top 5.
Top 5.
Yeah. Look, I think the industry like should look at these agencies and like really pay attention to like not just the repeats but like the new ones.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is a yearly award. Like that's what I tell people. Like it is how big was your year?
12 months. Everybody's got the same amount of time. 12 months.
And I just say like they had the full package, especially in the top 5. Like I think honestly the full 10, but like the top 5 like had the full package. And it's not, if you look across, right, it wasn't like each one had like a big client win, right? And so pay attention to how you're presenting your work and how you're talking about your story.
Love it. All right, before we get into the categories, a couple standouts here. Any of these you want to call out some brand new ones to the list?
Yeah.
I mean, Flower Shop, those are our guys. We love them.
Yeah.
We got to give them some love, being like probably one of the smallest on the whole thing here, like Al and Mary.
Well, like I really like our standouts list because it is like a good mix of like small and larger agencies. Yeah. Dentsu Creative had a really good year. I think their revenue went they had like $50 million revenue growth for some crazy number.
Can we get $1?
Like off a new business, winning some large accounts there. T-Mobile, I think, IKEA, and Miramar. Shout out to them, winning Rocket last year was huge.
Yeah, they did a great job. They had the Super Bowl.
Some incredible beats work. Do you remember the Lil Wayne, LeBron James ad?
Yes.
Where like Lil Wayne can't sleep because like LeBron is playing his song, like Lil Wayne's song.
Is it the Jimmy Fallon, Jim vs. Kim too? They did that?
yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
Verb, shout out to them. Like experiential agency, incredible growth.
Shannon.
Yeah.
Shannon Jones.
It's hard as an experiential agency to have that level of growth. And,
that's a big time. Spot for them.
I don't know. There's a lot of good agencies on there, but I guess those would be mine. And you already mentioned Flower Shop.
GSD&M, Weber. That's like a PR kind of focus.
Yeah.
So you got like a good
Pop-Tarts.
range.
Yeah.
The Pop-Tart stuff was incredible.
Yeah.
McKinney. Yeah. Anything else here with the standouts before we get into?
No, I think that's good.
What categories do we want to talk about? What do we want to hover over?
Let's see. How about you pick one? I pick one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so not picking Ogilvy as Agency Network of the Year. I'm not surprised they won that last year, so I'm not going to bring that up.
Okay.
Okay, I want to know about Indie Agency of the Year because there's a lot of great indies out there. This is a huge one.
Yeah. No, they.
The winner was Terry and Sandy for everybody.
Terry and Sandy. It was an interesting story because they're one of their co-founders had left,
right,
and they hired Peyton Sutton, who came from Curiosity, and she really kind of like, it wasn't just her, but like it felt like the work itself kind of like it felt like refreshed a little bit, and it felt like, um, you know, the agency kind of like just came back out. You know, like I think people weren't expecting them to put out such good work. I'd like to pull up some of the work if you don't mind, Gito. Like, if you don't mind pulling it up.
Yeah. I believe it was Terry that retired, and Sandy Greenberg is still in running the show. Pulling it up. Clicking the article. Would it be in here?
Yeah.
Okay. What do we got here?
I wish we could show it. Is there a way we could show it on the? We could edit this out, but like, is there a way we could show it on like a video? Like,
which one did you want to toss in? Megan Trainor, the
Megan
puppet.
Trainor was good. What was that one?
Hey, man. Hey, man.
I think the Megan Trainor work would be good, but I don't want to talk like I don't want to like play it if we don't like can't.
I don't know if we can.
Okay.
To be honest, we're not that good yet.
I'm sorry, guys.
It's all good. All good. But they did something with Megan Trainor. I'm a Dog Mom, Fresh Pet Records.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the was the MSC Cruise down there, or no, it wasn't MSC Cruise. It was can you find out which cruise that was right there?
Princess?
Yeah, Princess Cruise. Like
Yeah.
even that like angle of like a show tune kind of like ad, like it was still done in a way that felt like not corny and like you know, unique. And I don't know, their work just felt like it had something to say, and but they also had revenue growth, and you know, I just think like they had a really good story.
Love it. That's a big one. That's a big one to win. What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, I was thinking we could do like BBDO.
Yeah, BBDO, agency to watch.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Like,
Yeah.
they're up next. Like, be on the lookout.
Yeah, I think well, you had like CBH on the pod.
They're repositioning.
Yeah, I think like BBDO is interesting because everyone knows who they are, right? It's not like we're breaking, you know, like we're like, oh shit, look at this new agency, right?
Right.
But you know, in a lot of ways, like they are trying to like promote themselves as like the next phase of BBDO, right? And that's such a like large task when you have roots back to like 1891, you know, as you know, like as an agency. It's like, how do you think about that, right? And like you're 7,000 people, you know, like you work for some of the largest brands globally. Like like the fact that like you just changed your CEO, like Nancy Reyes, coming from TWA, global CEO, CBH, you know, global CCO, David Lubars. Those are big shoes to fill. Andrew Robinson was the CEO. That's big shoes to fill, right? Like it was like a literal passing of the guard last year. And you know, when I talked to like Chris and Nancy, like they were talking about like, you know, how they traveled all across the globe to understand like where can the agency get better. And Chris was talking about like this idea that like they felt like at some level they were putting out safe work, like they were just doing what the client wanted all the time, and they weren't being proactive. They weren't like you know, being proactive meaning like even if the client asked for something, like go for it, right? Go for some crazy idea or try something new. And he said he felt like that was kind of missing in some places, and so they do the repositioning and
do big things.
We'll see if it works out. But it's like, you know, in their first year, like you saw like some of their influence, right? They were named back onto Pepsi's roster after like a big hiatus.
Jenny Danzy. Shout out Jenny Danzy.
You know, they were winning accounts, but the work was also good. Like, I don't know if you saw the AI adoptable ads.
No, I haven't seen
it was
that.
like so it's for pedigree, and the idea was like, oh, let's get like dogs, like more dogs adopted. So what they did was they used like data to understand like which types of dogs and which areas of like specific regions would be like the best dogs to promote at certain times of the day, and they would like they used AI to like basically put real dogs on these billboards. Like basically like if you preferred a terrier somehow, and they found a way to like find that out, and they like promoted a billboard of a terrier to you. That terrier is a real dog that can be adopted. The minute it got adopted, it got switched out. So they changed that ad in real time.
Genius.
With real dogs. And, that was just like a cool way to do something that like, maybe you would phone it in sometimes if it's like, like it's dogs. Like we'll just put dogs on a TV.
Right.
Like,
right.
we'll just do dogs on a TV campaign or something. And then like the Sleep with Rain work, with like Rainn Wilson creating like a fake small business of like a pillow with speakers, and they got like the cast from The Office to like launch a fake company with him, like for like a B2B campaign, which like again B2B, not the sexiest type of work, but like that was great. That was like something where you're not just like phoning it in, right? You're trying something different. So yeah, I don't know. I just think the work is getting there, and I think we're saying, we see the potential, right? And we see the new leadership, and they've been strong at other places. CBH was around when Ogilvy, did the Michael Cera V work and a bunch of other campaigns recently. So we see the potential, and we're watching,
Totally. Last thing we'll talk about in about 3 minutes, that's our parameters here, is Widen as creative agency.
Yeah.
So what does this mean? Aren't all the agencies on the top 10 creative agencies? Like, for the most part. Like, they're super creative. What separates this category from the top 10? And how did Widen place in this specific category?
That specific category is about just like the craft of the work and the breadth of your creativity, and like the like just the depth like of the creativity.
So
and
when you talked about the parameters in the beginning, like all those things, the holistic picture of the agency, creative agency, we're just kind of focusing in on creativity and maybe a little bit of effectiveness.
Yeah, a little bit of effectiveness, but like the craft, like the I think about the McDonald's work with like Kai Cenat and like John Cena. Like that was such a huge viral moment, right? And like I think what was interesting about their work is like the definition of creativity is changing, right? And I think Widen as an agency has learned to like adapt with that definition, and you see like they're able to do the Nike campaign, which everyone loved.
Winning isn't for everyone. One of my favorite campaigns of all time.
Right. So they were able to do that, and then they're able to do like social campaigns with like McDonald's and John Cena and Kai Cenat, and like they're able to do the like McDonald's stuff and all that. Like they were just able to show like range of creativity, but like what creativity in the industry like should be, right?
Yeah,
like you look at DoorDash,
all
right?
the ads, the Caitlin Clark ad here. It's you break it, you own it. I know Jack liked that one a lot. He's got a shirt.
The DoorDash work that broke, like that's like about breaking past the Super Bowl ad, right? And like I think throughout the year it's easy to forget some things, right? Like as you go through the year.
It's a good little reminder, walk down memory lane.
When you look at all of it, it's like actually pretty amazing. Like the anime McDonald's work was like beautiful.
And they're still great. Like just like the Oscars, like next morning breakfast meal, the celebrities, like they're still just doing the damn thing.
Yeah.
They're not stopping.
So yeah, no, I think they're well deserving of it. Like,
Yeah.
And I think they're still like a standard that people are watching.
Yeah. Somebody in our breaking entering team was like, I just want Widen in the top 10. Everything needs to be like normal again. Like we need to get them back in the top 10 so I can sleep at night and the industry's back to normal.
Well, listen,
other agencies I was surprised didn't make the list. I'll call them out. You don't have to comment. Like a Droga 5 not being on that list. Like a Leo Burnett. Like some of those kind of bigger names. What else did we say? What other ones were people surprised about? Agency wise, did you get any comments?
I'm sure like it's always the big name like Widen, like you said.
Yeah. At least they were on the publication.
Right,
on the edition.
No, look, I think I understand like these are agencies that everyone knows, and like you know, again, like it's not it's a hard category, right? A lot of these agencies are having good years. Like, it's not about like who had a good year. It's about who had the best years, and it's not always gonna be the same agencies.
The usual suspects, yeah.
But I also think like the industry is changing and it's growing, and like there's a lot
of indies on this.
There's a lot of strong agencies now. There's a lot of, you know, I think 10 years ago that wasn't the case, you know. You know, and I think people just have to like, I would encourage people to like really like pay attention to the industry because it's changing quickly, and I don't think that a lot of people actually understand that in the industry. So I would just say pay attention to it because what clients need right now like is changing quickly, and a lot of, you know, agencies need to adapt to that. So
I'm gonna make a prediction. I believe we're gonna see a lot more influencer agencies that specialize in influencer management on this list next year.
Yeah, well, you saw like the Unilever CEO recently said like they're gonna increase their marketing budget, to be like 20% more like social first.
Yep.
You know, so it's like social is kind of becoming like the new like creative AOR for a lot of brands.
Yep.
So, like White and Kennedy winning Verizon Social, we'll see what they do with that. You know, that's a big account. So, I think that's a good prediction. You know, I think, you know, as tech evolves too, like I think we'll see like which agencies like break out from that. You know, like using tech in like effective ways. Yeah. Is going to be another thing to watch.
Wonderful, Brian. Well, congrats on all the hard work. An amazing list. It's got people talking. People are all excited about it. We're proud to just be around and able to talk with you. So
yeah, man. Looking forward to being back in the studio with you guys. Thanks.
Crushed it, Brian.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes.